reason why I'm the right person for this project is because of my experiences. From the age of 5 to 18, I've been held captive by the juvenile system in Kansas. I've been to over 100 foster homes all around the state. I went right from foster care to juvenile prison. I was counted out from the beginning, not even supposed to be here today. I've seen things that no young person should ever have to see. I've experienced physical abuse, neglect, and trauma right here in this very system that is said to help and keep us safe. My work with Progeny is to close the last youth prison in Kansas, and it has taught me not only to advocate for myself, but to do something about the injustices I've experienced and seen in the foster care system. That's why this is the Yusuf Presley story. It is not the only one of its kind. There are several more just like it. This is why I'm the right person to carry out the YP project. I know firsthand what it takes to break free from the system's chains. I want to release as many young people from the mental bondage the system holds on youth. I've been recognized several times for my connections to my community and my work within the juvenile system to change policy. I sit on a national board that is constantly connected to my work right here in Wichita, Kansas. I feel like it's my duty to give back to my community and the unheard voices of the young people. There are so many youth just like me that have been overlooked and taken advantage of by this system. They have not been given a fair chance or even an opportunity. It's time for them to be heard and valued. This is why the YP project is so important and much needed. The people that the YP project serves are the people that have been unheard for far too long. We serve young people impacted by the foster care system and juvenile system. These are called the Kansas throwaways. We need to bring the spotlight on the mishandling of the most vulnerable youth population, which is the foster care children. The YP project gives young people a voice and encourages that this is the time to shine the light on the injustices of the system they're in. It encourages youth in the foster care to prison pipeline that there's a way out of the system that they fear the most. The YP project empowers young people to speak power to the experiences they have endured and use them to create change. With the guidance from Progeny I receive, I have the tools and the credentials to serve this role. It is no longer about me. It's about the work that we can do collectively today in preparation for a better future tomorrow. I am passionate about the YP project because this is my life. It means everything to me. To know that there are young people in this system, to know that they're strong and valued regardless of their situation. Now is the time to elevate young voices. Now is the time to make an impact on the system that once tried to hold us down. This is the YP project. YP stands for me, Yusuf Presley, young people, youth prison, youth population. We can all do it.
Trade my 4x4 for a GC3, ain't no more free little Steve. I gave him chance again, I even told him please. I find it crazy the police will shoot you and know that you dead but still tell you to freeze. Fucked up, I seen what I seen. I guess that mean hold him down if he say he can't breathe. It's too many mothers just grieving, they killing us for no reason. Been going on for too long to get even. Throw us in cages like dogs and hyenas. I went to court and they sent me to prison. My mama was crushed when they said I can't leave. First I was drunk and I sobered up quick when I heard all that time that they gave to Talib. He got a life sentence plus. We just some products of our environment. How the fuck they gon' blame us? You can't fight fire with fire, I know, but at least we can turn up the flames some. Every color person ain't dumb, and all whites not racist. I be judging by the mind and heart, I ain't really in the face. Fuck up the way that we living is not getting better, you gotta know how to survive. Crazy, I had to tell all of my loved ones to carry a gun when they going outside. Stay in the mirror whenever you drive, overprotective, go crazy for mine. You gotta pay attention to the sign, seem like the blind following the blind. Thinking about everything that's going on, I boost security up in my home.
I want to talk a little bit about the Mama Film Story Lab, and I was curious, like, when Layla called me up and told me about it, how they were starting out the first time, and shared like who you were and what you're working on. I was really excited to get involved, and I'm just kind of curious from your end, like, what was that like? Like, how did you become involved with the Mama Film Story Lab?
Yeah, so I came up with the YP project, and I told Marquita about it, and so she connected me to resources, which just so happened to be Mama Films. And then that's when she introduced me to you, and I became excited about working with you. I found out you were a director and that you were talented and that you got was it nominated?
Yeah,
Or is
so
it,
I was the cinematographer on a film that was nominated. Yeah.
okay, yeah. So she told me that you were nominated for that. And it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good experience.
Yeah, I was excited to hear your story and to think that like you're just a few hours, what is that, west and south of us in Kansas,
Yeah, Midwest.
and and knowing that yeah, in the Midwest, man, and knowing that you know you're feeling just as isolated as we are, you know, in St. Louis and around here. So it was really cool to connect with you, uh, and talk, you know, and so
Yeah,
just kind
likewise.
of going into like the lab, like the Story Lab mentorship, and kind of what we each kind of gained from it. Like I know it was really, like I just said, it was really helpful to understand like what, you know, the Midwest is larger than just like in the middle where we are. And also to connect with you and like your story and like you're doing a lot of work, you know, this isn't new, like you've been doing a lot of work. And so it was really refreshing to understand like your work, what you're doing, and then be connected with you to help support however we could. And I'm curious, like, you know, how was the internship for you? You know, what was your experience like?
I believe it was pretty good. I wish we could have connected a little bit more. With COVID and everything, we can't do in person and things like that, and then even a state over. But virtually and everything that I've working with you over the phone and through Zoom, it was pretty good. You gave me a lot of insight on recording and angles and different types of shots. And then here recently, I've been talking to you about lenses and cameras and all these different things. So, just that connection, being connected with you, I feel like we have a connection we'll have a connection down the line just based off connecting here early on.
What are some things that you think you might have gained out of that, like as far as like getting that knowledge and like picking things up? Like, where do you feel like from where you were to like where you are currently, and like your next steps as you've got this new Soros grant? Congratulations, by the way. Just hearing about that,
Thank
it's
you.
awesome,
I
man.
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Like how do you feel? Like,
So when I first started recording, I came in with absolutely no knowledge at all. So just picking your brain and things, talking to you about different shots, um, different settings, lightings, and things like that. I've gained a lot of knowledge that I didn't have before. So I would say you definitely brought me a long way just by talking to you. So I can only imagine with being in person and actually physically hands on working with you.
yeah, it was, you know, equally, man. It was like cool working with you too. Like I learned, um, you know, whenever there's, you know, whenever you do something for a long time, as you know, if you've been working with the YP project, like you have a lot of things in your head that just
Yeah,
become natural. But until you actually work one-on-one with somebody and like try to put that out so somebody else can understand it and also get something from it. Like you taught me a lot also just with how you kind of like how we're able to talk and move through the process and also like, you know, I love that you're really vocal about like what you believe in and your vision and like what you see, because that was really like at that point, like honestly, man, you inspired me like to like really kind of want to support you, not just as a mentor, but like, you know, in production, like in some way, in some fashion. And so, yeah, it was a huge benefit for me too to be able to work with
for
you
sure.
closely. And
Also,
again,
oh yeah,
go ahead.
I also like your work with the St. Louis Superman. That's a very powerful what you did there. So
Thanks, man.
likewise,
Yeah,
mutual
thanks.
respect there.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what I see. Like I know we were just talking about the Firelight Media Lab and about focusing on like your story and possibly doing something. But that's, you know, just so you know, like that's how I see this. Like I see like
Mhm.
that's like I think this is as dramatic and as impactful and can really help a lot of people.
Yeah, that would be great. That would also allow us to continue to work with each other going forward. I think the Firelight is what is it, 12 months? So
Mhm.
that'll give us more time to work together and allow me to pick your brain and allow me to grow as a director.
So tell me, I'm curious too, like from like you had this vision to start out, you had that video that you created that kind of what I saw, how I learned about you initially,
Mhm.
but like where do you think now, like knowing like what you have learned and kind of like where you're growing, like where do you see like the documentary aspect of it and like what you're trying to do to kind of educate people and also combat, you know, this incredible like like these kids in the prison pipeline, like that's happening. Like where do you see the documentary aspect of it and the storytelling? Like where are you now?
So my original goal was to just raise awareness. So I feel like I'm actually on the way to going beyond that. So I'm in all these different spaces. I'm in these kid spaces, I'm just everywhere with this. So like just I want to continue to just push the videos and continue to push them out and get them on YouTube, Facebook, all social media platforms, and I just want to continue to just raise awareness. That's the main goal.
Why do you think that's so, like the power of that? Why do you think that's so important?
Because for me, it's a very slept on. People don't really pay attention to that pipeline. They don't think it's there, but really what's happening is they're institutionalizing these youth at a young age and then transitioning straight to prison. So that's why I feel like it's powerful for someone like me to speak out, because I feel like I broke the chains.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, for me personally, Yusuf, like you're spot on, because like as much as I work in like social and environmental justice with films and in those kind of situations, like I know the prison pipeline, like how it exists and the structures that are set up, but I've never really like lasered into like where you are coming from as far as like kids in foster homes
Mhm.
and how that institution specifically is set up to just get kids started, at a very young age into that its system. And it's like, not only is it heartbreaking, but it's scary to think about. And I think it's really important
Yeah,
that you bring that up.
for sure. And it's mentally, that's where they're doing it at. So they're programming these youth mentally to be trained for that. So
So tell me, so congrats again on that Soros
oh, thank you, appreciate it.
grant. Tell me about that. Like, what was that process like? Like what are you, like, where are you at? Like, what's happening, man?
So it was like a 6-7 month process. I had to compete with over 500 people nationwide, and so I had to go through a series of finals and semifinals and all that good stuff and things like that. So it started back in February, and now, so next week I officially get to start and get to record and things like that. But my feet have already been wet because I've been doing the work already. So
Yeah.
but
Is
yeah,
it
officially.
what are some things you've learned? I know you're on some calls and you are doing some orientation and stuff. Like what's like the biggest thing that's like stood out so far?
That stood out, I would say, that stood out or that's helped me, or what do you mean by
Or
that?
just like the biggest thing that you've learned just in the matter of a few days of like starting this?
Oh, it's just the support that I'm getting. Like I really appreciate the support that I'm getting from everyone, and then like being on the orientation calls and things like that. People are like, "Oh my God, I'm so interested." They got their own projects,
Mhm.
and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so interested. We could our projects link together. I think that we should get together and we should link our projects and work together. Things like that." So I'm really appreciative of all the support.
That's cool. I mean, that's how I've always, like, that's kind of, I've seen it happen. Like everybody's just like crossing
Yeah, for sure.
and helping each other out. And it's awesome that you
Yeah.
have that kind of support too. It's really cool.
Also, like for example, today, yesterday, I ran across another filmmaker out of New York and things like that, and she's my age, so she told me, yeah, shoot me an email, I'll help you out and things like that, and she's filming someone who's incarcerated, so I feel like there's connections, so I'm getting connections and getting support, and I love it.
Yeah, I love where you're going with it too. Like, I love how you're, like, specifically, like you want to do a short video series connected to a larger, like, free access platform like YouTube, because I think that, like, one of the most important things, like, everybody wants to make a movie.
Mhm.
But I think at the end of the day, like, especially when you're doing work like this, like, the point is like to have people see that movie. And so I love that you're just committed to like just getting it out there so people can really see it and it can help them and really like just educate people to like what's happening, as opposed to like trying to take a different track of like really trying to just elevate yourself or trying to, to do something on a whole different spectrum. But I just want to commend you on that, because that's the best way, man. I think, in my opinion, like just getting it to the masses, like you can really like directly affect people really
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So what's next, man? Like, what's coming up for the YP project and for you? Like now you got this grant, right? So this is like
Yeah.
18 months, right? So what's
Yep.
the goal? What are you thinking?
So first things first is just get in that mode, get into production, start recording. That's the first thing. So first thing next week, I got 2 interviews lined up. Go ahead and knock those out. Of course, I'll be, hey Chris, can you help me out with this? What do I do with this?
Anytime,
So
man. Anytime. That's awesome. Yeah, anytime. Obviously, like I love texting back and forth with you to get going. But yeah, man. So like, I really want to talk about next to see how we can like the story. Okay, so the Mama Story Lab was really great for me. Like I always wished because of COVID that we just had more time and like could actually I could actually have come down and seen you in Kansas and like kind of work together a little bit more. And so I'm curious, like what's next for you? I mean, do you think we might have that opportunity? I mean, I know we had a couple things we threw out there, but like, what are you thinking? What's your team thinking?
yeah, for sure. We definitely want to work with you. My team is like how you work with me, so we definitely want to continue to work with you. Whether it's through Firelight Media or whatever we got to do, we're gonna push to work with you. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I'm like excited to keep working with you too. Like I think, and I'm not just saying this, man. Like you have a very inspirational story, and like I think the fact that you were like really lasered into like where you're at. Like I think it's an important quality for a director, anyways, just to know like what that story is and like where they want to take it, like what the ultimate goal is. And so yeah, I'm like absolutely open. Like even coming down and working with you all a little bit, during the month to help you get on your feet and learn that because you have an ambitious project that you're going to need lots of help on. And so I'm definitely here if you ever need anything.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's mapped out. It's ready. I feel like you just got to put it on paper and get our things going and let's continue to work.
Sounds great, man. Well, I'm here if you ever need anything.
Appreciate it.
Well, and thank you, Mama Film, too. Like this has been an incredible experience for us. Yeah, we really
Big help.
appreciate y'all.
Big help.